right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. Just Trevor and myself tonight. Blake's got family obligations. Maybe he'll jump in later. We're not sure, but we're going to keep rolling. Tonight, we're kind of doing a little bit of a season recap. Just kind of talking a little bit about like the teams that impressed us. Obviously, we'll all probably have
teams that didn't.
similar ideas. Yeah, teams that didn't. We're definitely going to mention them. And then, we're going to talk the Army-Navy game a little bit. We're going to talk about a couple of the first bowl games. And then, we're still going to push on with our Tuesday night shows and then Sunday night shows. Since we're in bowl season, it's, all spread out. So things will be a little bit different than how we've typically done it. But that's, kind of how things are rolling tonight. So Trev, obviously 2024, hell of a season. First time with the 12-team college football playoff. A lot of new faces in this playoff. It's kind of I enjoy it. There's a lot of people
I'm excited
complaining, but I'm excited, man. I think it's cool.
I'm excited.
And in the last episode, we did mention maybe some things that we would change if we had to. But tonight we're not really getting into that. We're just talking a little bit of recap. So, Trev, what are your thoughts? Teams that really disappointed. I'm sure we're probably in the same sphere, but who shit the
starts with an F, it ends with a university, and there's a state in there, in the middle. God. Like I'm just saying, great state of Florida State, they suck. They're terrible. Get them out of there. Relegate to. I don't know what's a lower conference down south.
Put them in the Sun Belt.
Sunbelt, that's it. Yes, that's where they belong.
I mean, maybe the WAC. Well, the WAC's gone.
WAC,
that's why I said
they
WAC. The long years past.
Yes, I love it. No, Florida State's an easy one. That was an easy target. That wasn't even a moving target, but that was just too easy.
That's a flaming Hulk just sitting there,
But I would say I'm going to stay in the ACC as far as disappointments go, and I will say, even though I didn't pick them to be one of my favorites, I was very high on them to start the season, and that's NC State.
Yep. I agree.
They had a lot of hype. They brought in a very, very decent quarterback in McCall. I thought that they had all the momentum in the offseason as far as what they did. They just did not translate it at all to the field. It was bad. And to be perfectly honest, I thought SMU was going to kind of follow suit because they were not playing very well at the beginning of the season either, but they were able to turn that around. But NC State, they definitely have to work on some things in the offseason for sure. That is probably one of my big ones there.
Yeah, NC State was one that I thought they were going to maybe win the conference. I think I had them. Yeah. I had them as winning it, and just like you said, the people that they brought in from the portal, stuff around. I thought they were on the up and up. Yep. And, we mentioned the depth. We thought there was a little more depth in the ACC this year. So teams might, knock each other down and whatever. Right. I wasn't expecting Florida State to die like that. I don't think any of us were.
To tank? No. Especially with the hype that they got. What was it, the number one transfer class, I guess, in the offseason?
That was up there. I don't think it was one. I think that was Ole Miss, but
maybe they were tied, or they were top 5 at least.
I'd have to double check.
But we've been screaming it since the beginning of the transfer portal, is that you cannot build a team strictly around transfers. You have to recruit. You have to get guys from high school, the high school ranks. It has to happen. You cannot solely rely on the transfer portal to fix the team.
And it's about the culture there too, and you have to maintain a strong culture. Talking to NC State, just real quick because we brought them up, their over under was 8.5. I thought the over was definitely going to be there for them, and it definitely wasn't. Right. For me, I'm going to jump, looking at disappointing teams out a little bit further west and go to the Big 12. I would say Oklahoma State. I mean, you talk about Oklahoma State, they were one of the preseason favorites, from Vegas and everybody else to win the Big 12. And look what happened to them. They go out, they finally fire some, assistants. Yeah. Gundy's having this showdown with whether he's going to stay or not based on NIL. I mean, it's turned into a shit show for them. And they've got some of their, some guys leaving that the players or the fan base really enjoys. So Oklahoma State's in a little bit of trouble, I think.
I would actually stick with that sentiment of out west.
Mhm.
And there's definitely a team that has a U on their helmet that we need to talk about, and that's Utah.
Yeah.
They had everything in front of them.
Yep.
And once again, we go back to the age-old thing where you cannot rely, especially in the college ranks. I get it. Like, you may have the couple standouts on offense that can carry you, but in the college ranks, the way the whole college landscape is right now, it's just you cannot have just a quarterback and then just a few pieces here and there. And quarterback, you have to have a backup that can step in and actually perform. We've seen it all across the college football landscape, is that if you don't have a backup quarterback that can at least know the playbook and execute it to some degree, you're dead in the water. You're dead in the water. In Utah, it happened to you. Happened to you again this year.
Again.
Where 2 years in a row, I mean, when you going to wake up and go find yourself an actual depth at quarterback position, because you need it.
Yeah, I mean, they were handicapped big time by Cam Rising. Like you said, last year, it was every single week. When is Cam starting? When's he getting back in there?
Yep.
Things will change when he gets in. But he's been there for a long time. He's been injured. It's just, it never panned out. And then you look at Utah, had an over under of 9.5, on the season, and it didn't, come to fruition. It was ugly again. After he goes out another season. It's just, teams that a lot of people picked to win the Big 12, to win the ACC, they fell apart, and you see them as the disappointing teams of the year. Other ones, Kansas, another one in the Big 12. I mean, that was just, they came on a little bit late and killed some seasons. Like, that was cool. Like, you took down, BYU, Iowa State. Like, good for you on that. But still, you had expectations and a very light schedule when we looked at it preseason, compared to many others. That you're looking at that you should have been in the damn playoffs, and then you finish your year the way you did. Just disappointing for that team.
And one other team, and I'm going to say it only because I brought up Florida State right out the get-go. I'm going to do it so I'm fair weather it. I'm going to fair weather this. Is I was disappointed in Michigan as a whole.
Yeah,
I was disappointed in the way they started the season. I'm happy with the way they finished the season, of course.
Absolutely.
But the in-between stuff, the uncertainty, the lack of continuity at the quarterback position, the offensive scheme in general was terrible. Like, absolutely all season long, the offensive scheme was absolutely horrible. I'm glad they're making that change. I'm glad they made that change.
Yeah.
Because it was clear that whatever he was doing, speaking to the offensive coordinator of Michigan, whatever they had him doing or whatever he had to do, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they're making changes. I'm happy with their early recruiting class. It looks to be like a strong recruiting class with a lot of really good athletes. So the bright future is ahead for Michigan. However, there's some things that definitely need to be buttoned up. And I want to say thank you to Mason Graham for a wonderful memories.
Yeah, I agree.
He's going to kill it in the NFL, but
yeah, I mean, that dude was a monster. But I do agree with you on the Michigan thing as disappointing, and really it was the middle of the schedule.
It really was.
I got losing to Texas, whatever. You're trying a new quarterback, all the new coaches, but then throughout the quarterback change and just recycling through the three of them, you lost to a team that I don't think they should have lost to a team like Washington or to, when you look at the talent on defense or even the talent on offense that was around them. So it was disappointing, but finally they kind of figured stuff out. They got into some sort of a rhythm, and they were able to beat both their rivals and win all their trophy games. So I mean that's a plus on the season.
It definitely gives you a springboard. It definitely gives you a little bit of a springboard.
Yeah. It feels a little better.
They still have one more game, and they're going to miss out. They're going to be missing a lot of their starters.
Yeah.
Because look, the ones that are in this particular case, even though it's the team that I root for, I am okay with a lot of the people that are planning on going to the NFL just not playing.
Yeah.
In this particular case. Well, I take that back. if you're slated to be a first round draft pick, I get it. If you're down below or lower, I think they should play.
Yeah,
Because look, more game film is more game film for people to look at. So
I
that's
agree.
kind of it's a give and take thing. But like for a guy like Mason Graham, being that he's slated as a top 5 pick, there is no reason you need to risk that.
Yeah, I mean, he's done enough. And
Yep.
I know that's a debate too of, should players
it
sit?
is like a give and take thing. Yeah.
If you're a Michigan fan, obviously you go back, you look at Jake Butt when we played Florida State in the Orange Bowl. He was like, "No, I'm playing," and I respect anybody that plays at the bowl game. Like, I don't care if you sit, whatever. But he ended up going out, and early on in the game, he ended up tearing his ACL, and then
he was never the same.
The rest is history, Yeah. So I get it, but I agree. If you're a late round pick, like to me, there's no sense in not playing. You've seen many players go not play their bowl game, and then they don't get drafted, or they go, undrafted free agent, and then they get cut. Maybe they're just not great, but still, that extra game film helps. Or leaving a year early as a junior. If you're a late round projected pick, you might just want to go play one more year and try to beef that up one more year in the college. But whatever, it's beside the point. Michigan's got a tough one against Bama. We'll see what happens, but I'd say semi-disappointing year just because of how the middle went. But
Right.
they did they rebounded big time. Obviously, taking down Ohio State helps a lot. Another one for me on the most disappointing, Purdue. Like, what the hell happened to this team? They were playing for a Big Ten championship. I know they had divisions, but still disappointing.
I don't ever
but
expect
still
anything. Just like yeah. And then I'm trying to think of any other teams that really disappointed me this season.
Yeah, I was flipping through LSU probably a little bit.
I'd say LSU probably would fall into that category. I would say a team that, while their record doesn't reflect it, I feel like they disappointed me many times throughout the course of the season, and that's Ole Miss. Yeah, I thought that they were just so hot and cold, all like from the beginning to the end. They were hot and cold. You really did not know what Ole Miss team you were going to get, and it was just super frustrating to try and pick a team.
I just saw a comment on YouTube. I was like, "What the hell?" Oh my God.
Anyway,
so it's a live show. We got a comment saying Trevor's smoking hot, baby. Thank you for your comment. We do appreciate it.
All right. So anyway.
But yes, I agree with Ole Miss take because look, you go out and you go heavy in the portal. You do have a tough schedule, but you go and lose to teams like Kentucky, and then you go and bitch about, well, we didn't get in the playoffs. Well, why do you think that is? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore. But yeah, that's what we got for disappointing. On the impressive side, Trev, probably all in the same realm: SMU, Indiana, Arizona State, teams like that. Guys, if you have something, a team that's disappointing to you, shoot us a comment. If we missed it.
Yeah, guys, everybody on X that's watching us, we do appreciate you being on, but hop over to YouTube if you want to jump into the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, X doesn't allow us to do the chat with them, but if you want to chime in, have conversations, or ask us questions, shoot over onto YouTube and we'll conversate with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing these live. We like to have the live conversation. But yeah, I mean, again, SMU, Indiana, Arizona State getting into the playoffs when they weren't expected to be, anything. I think their over-unders were in the 4.5 and 5.5 range for Indiana and Arizona State. SMU was one we called a dark horse, but they still impressed and made it to the conference championship game. I'd say Colorado kind of getting things figured out, getting in that area a little bit. Even though you still have two top 5, top 10 draft picks, and they didn't play for the conference. That's
Colorado, whatever.
To hell with them. Boise State. I threw Boise State in there.
Boise State had a very good. I mean, they have a Heisman candidate in their running back. The guy is amazing.
Yeah, and we're going to talk Heisman here in a little bit.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about bowl games, Army, Navy, just for those of you that are sitting in, so you kind of have an idea of where we're heading tonight. But yeah, the other one I had, Syracuse. I thought they had a really nice season. New regime in there. Cal McCord came in. He had a really rough game one time, but then he figured it out. Knocked out Miami at the end. So I mean, just pretty solid season for them. Like I said, if you guys have most interesting or most impressive teams, most improved, shoot them our way on the comments. Talking a little bit about bowl games. Honestly, it's so hard to judge them because of the transfer portal opening up at this time. It's gone absolutely crazy this year.
Right.
What we're seeing, but I pulled up so all the games that weren't in the playoffs, and I was just trying to look at some that were like the best bowl games. It's hard because even USC Texas A&M jumps out to me. That's a really cool bowl game, but they're already losing players left and right from the portal. Starting
quarterback.
Well, I guess he got benched for
but
whatever.
I mean, yeah.
But they just lost a wide receiver, a running back.
I mean, there's some big names in the transfer realm already. Like, I mean,
it's just there's so many. It's so hard to keep up with.
Yeah, I was just looking at. I was referring to the quarterbacks because that's really the only position that really matters.
I've been trying to follow it, man. It's so damn much.
I've got a lot of work to do over the next week or so to kind of catch back up to recruits and transfers and all the fun things.
Castellanos from Boston College looks to be trending to Florida
gone.
State.
Yep.
So they're looking for another quarterback, Florida State, and in turn their freshman, 5-star from last year, he's now transferring. It's crazy, man.
Welcome to the world of college football and musical chairs.
I don't hate it necessarily. I know some people do, but I'm personally not really against the portal and NIL.
Question: do you think that Michigan's actually going to go after what's his name?
Miller Moss?
Yeah.
That's the word out there is that they want a stopgap, like a 1-year quarterback to fit in while they prep Bryce Young, Underwood. So we'll see what happens, but it seems like there's some mutual interest there. Michigan did just get a new offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey from UNC. So
I actually like the hire. I like it.
I think it'll be all right. I'm curious to see how it goes out, but Sharon Moore even said, like, listen, we're not going to change our scheme completely. We're just looking for somebody to open up what we do. Like our system is our system. And I do like how he said that. You're not going out and trying to be some air raid team. Right. Michigan has an identity. You have to be able to run the football.
Yep.
And Chip Lindsey's even said that in his interviews and stuff as well. So we'll see with maybe some better talent here at Michigan as opposed to what they had as a team down there at UNC. Trying to think, looking at other bowls, I put obviously best bowl games. Any of the playoff games I think are great. I'm excited to see SMU, how they stack up against Penn State. Really excited for the Clemson, Texas one. Ohio State, Tennessee. I mean, every one of those games is awesome.
Yeah.
Do any stick out to you outside of that? I mean, I'm just looking
at
the
fact that Michigan and Alabama are playing again. I'm all about that smoke. And I'm
the
all
end
about
caps of the year, man.
I'm all about it. And the funny part is I was joking around that some of these bowl games and the matchups that they got going on, that they'll probably get more coverage than the actual playoff games themselves.
Look, Michigan Bama last year was huge.
Huge.
On ratings. I know it's a Rose Bowl.
But the coverage it had on it, plus the viewership that it had on it, rivaled every national championship that came before it, and it wasn't even the national championship game.
Yeah, and listen, those teams, those fan bases carry, and they're going to watch. So that's going to be
they travel very well.
Yes, it's going to be very highly rated bowl game. Another one I'm interested in is the Baylor LSU game. Baylor was really coming on this year at the end. They really turned it around. LSU kind of, in the middle range of figuring things out. It had some good wins, some bad losses. So I'm curious to see how that game goes. And then Memphis, West Virginia. I think West Virginia, they just fired their head coach. Memphis, you're in the top 25. you get a good bowl win here, propels you into next year and, trying to get into that playoff race. And we saw how nicely they attacked the portal. Speaking about Memphis last year. So we'll see if, that momentum carries this season. Other ones I put for like worst, the Florida Tulane game I think would be cool, but Tulane's, some are all staying, but they're losing a quarterback, stuff like that to the transfer portal. It just, to me, it's just not going to shake out very well.
Right.
Though I like the matchup. I think it's a cool game. I don't think it's going to, turn out well. And then Marshall and Army was another one. Outside of that, it'd be a cool game, but Marshall just lost their head coach. They lose their quarterback. Players are dropping left and right. So it's one of those things, man. It's so hard to judge these bowl games at this point because of the transfer portal. So you just got to see when you get in there. Outside of that, Trev, I figured we'd talk a little bit about the Heisman race. Unless you got anything else on those bowls.
No, the bowls are kind of what they are.
Yeah.
Some of them are fun. Some of them potentially could be a bit boring.
Yeah. And for guys listening, we'll give you guys breakdowns and all that, just like we do with the normal games. We'll talk about the bowl games, just kind of chatting on it right now. Looking at the Heisman race, that's going to be determined, this week. And a lot of the voting opens way early. I don't like that personally. I think it should be voting doesn't open until after the conference championship games. Why would you vote on something, when there's still games being played? That doesn't make sense. But currently your four finalists are going to be Dylan Gabriel, Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, and then you got Cam Ward squeezing in there. Scatabo was pissed. A lot of people said he was robbed. He should have been in there.
I mean, the guy is dynamic.
He's a beast.
I don't care. The guy is dynamic, but I just don't think he had the numbers, to be perfectly honest.
Especially when you got Jeanty in there, doing what he did.
Travis Hunter playing two ways, playing 120, 130 snaps a game.
Yeah, it's just.
You can't compete with that as a runner. You can't. You just can't.
Yeah, and even quarterback wise, looking at statistics, Dylan Gabriel came in. He had 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and that's just passing. On the ground, he had 63 carries, 192 yards, 7 touchdowns. So we expected good things from him. I think we all said that he'd be in or around the Heisman finalists, preseason. And here he is right here. Travis Hunter finishes the year 92 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 14 touchdowns, receiving 31 tackles, 4 interceptions, 11 passes defended, and then 1 forced fumble. Great year from him. That's why I think Vegas has him as a leader. And he'll probably win it. I personally would go with the running back. I think it's a lot harder to do. I know he's getting a ton of carries. I know it's the Mount West, whatever people want to say about it. You're taking a toll so much on your body, taking the hits that these guys do. And for him to go in a loaded boxes
I'd like to see
Jeanty
win it. I really would. I would really like to see him win it, but I just don't see him getting. Honestly, between Dylan Gabriel and Travis Hunter, I just feel like those two, in my mind, are probably the favorites.
Yeah, and look where their teams end up as well. I think that matters a little bit to the voters. To me, it shouldn't necessarily, but I think it is. Cam
Humans
Ward
are biased. It is what it is.
Yeah, they are. And I'll mention Cam Ward because he's in there. The odds don't have him winning it. I feel like it's a 2-man race, to be honest with you. But we got for Cam Ward, really, honestly, great numbers: 4,100 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 58 carries, 196 yards on the ground, and 4 touchdowns. So still a hell of a year for him. We knew he was going to do good things down at Miami, but their season kind of fell apart too. Losing games they shouldn't have. But I really do think it's Jeanty or Travis Hunter, and I honestly probably Hunter takes it. What do you guys think? You guys are all on the same page. Or people listening, it's probably a 2-man race. Who do you think? Shoot us a comment Trevor, I think you and I both agree we go running back here, but it's hard not to.
I'd like to say running back, but if I'm being realist on who I think is going to win it, it's probably going to be Travis Hunter.
I think so too.
That's
it is
who
impressive.
I think will probably win.
Yeah, it's impressive going out there playing as many snaps as he did every single game. You know, last year he did it. This year he did it. 14 touchdowns receiving it. You know, that's really good. He was in the running for top, cornerback awards, top wide receiver awards. This guy he's everywhere, and they fed him the ball. You know, I think they're trying to get him that award, and I don't blame him. That's what you do. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Heisman. That'll be determined, I believe, this weekend. But let us know again what you guys think and who you think will actually win the trophy. Looking, Trevor, if you got nothing else on that, I figure we'll go hit up a little bit of the Army-Navy game. Obviously, like we said, we're in the bowl season now and in the postseason, but this game's always had its own weekend. But now this year it's shared. Yeah, it's got a couple bowls with it. And it's also done after the college football playoff rankings. If Army had beaten Notre Dame, this game would not have mattered. They would have been selected, in the playoffs, and then whatever happened in this game, they said the playoff committee said it would not matter. Obviously, we didn't get to that point, but still, Army's at 11-1. They're number 22 in the country, and Navy's sitting at 8-3. The spread's 6.5 in favor of Army, and honestly, it opened at 2.5. It's shifting towards Army. I think Army's going to end up pulling away with it. Trev, anything you see on this game? Quarterbacks both are leading rushers and passers. That's one of the things I love about these games. It's just hard smash mouth football.
I can't wait. I'm so excited to see Army blow the top off of freaking Navy. It's going to be great. It's going to be great because at the end of the day, I really truly believe that Army has better athletes than Navy does this year.
Yeah,
overall across the board, like they're just more dynamic. They execute on a higher level. But this is also the Army-Navy game, so really anything can happen.
Anything can go. But listen, for those listening, Trevor and I are both Armies, so obviously we have our allegiance.
I have a vested interest in this.
But listen, Navy can do it. They've got badass. I love their uniforms this year. I think they're super cool. Army's coming out. Both teams always come out with cool uniforms. So that's another favorite part of this game for me. I'm a kind of a uniform whore, but if that's what you want to call me, I don't mind it. But I do think Army's going to come out. Daly's been having a really good year. Horvath has too, but I trust Daly the most at the quarterback position of these two teams to get it done. They just Army just went out and spanked Tulane, really ruined their season. They won the conference championship. So, to me, all the momentum's there for them to win this game and sets them up nicely going into bowl season and then into next season as well. Passing wise, Reynolds for Army, he's been receiving well. He's got 18 receptions, 426 yards, 3 touchdowns. I don't know. I think Army's just going to be a little too much.
I have Army in this one by probably 10 points.
I think 10.
It'll probably be a little bit. It might be close, but I really hope it's not. I really hope it's the Tulane game all over again, honestly.
Yeah. 35, 40 points. We'll see what happens. The total is showing 38 points. So, obviously, both teams are going to run the clock. They're going to, 10 play, 13 play drives.
I think I'd probably take the over on 38 points, actually.
Will you?
Yeah, I think I'd take the over.
That's tough. It's always hard on these games to really know what's going to go down. Because, it could be a 10-7 type game. It could be a 10 to 3
don't get me
game.
wrong. Like, I'm not a gambler. I'm not a gambler, so do not take my advice.
Don't follow it. Listen, we did pretty good in our pick 'em this year, all right? I'm not going to lie, but we're not financial advisors. We're obligated to say that by our lawyers. Do not follow what we say.
Do not follow our advice, and do not blame me if it's wrong.
We're also maybe a little under the influence too. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Disregard. All right. So we talked Army Navy. We talked about some of the bowl games. It's kind of the end of season, conversation. Let's look at a couple of the bowl games here that are coming up, and then of course, we'll have our Sunday live show as well, where we discuss these games. First up this weekend, got Jackson State, South Carolina State. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. I'm not an FCS type guy. I don't really watch that. I love any type of football, but I don't follow it as well. So I'm not gonna pretend to know what the fuck I'm talking about on these teams. But Jackson State's they're a 1-point favorite from what I'm seeing. Later they were 11-2. South Carolina State is 9-2. I thought I saw somebody mention that there was already been some portal movement for them. So I'm curious to see how this team goes or this game goes down. I'd probably take Jackson State in this one, but I mean spread's one. I'd probably say it's
good.
Close.
I'll take that. I'll take that action.
I mean, look, like I said, we're not going to BS you on it, so I sorry. But I will say let's talk a little bit of South Alabama, West Virginia, and or West Virginia. I got them on my mind. Western Michigan. Like I said, blame the whiskey. Don't blame me, baby. Blame it on Texas. All right. So South Alabama, Western Michigan, both seasons ended up 6-6 on the season. USA has a 7-point favorite on the spread. And looking at it, the transfer portal again, because it does matter right now because teams or players are leaving. Western Michigan's already lost 9 players to the portal starting on the 6th. And you're looking at running back, quarterback.
So South Alabama for the win. All right. Deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've got people. They've lost their starting running back, and that's the biggest loss for South Alabama. Bothwell, he's really the heart and soul of the team. That they've got players. Lopez, that quarterback's been playing well, but when you look at Bothwell, he had 111 carries for 832 yards, 13 touchdowns. So I mean, that's pretty much your running offense right there. Then you got Bullock, behind him at 701 yards, 6 touchdowns, but you're losing, half your touchdown production just from him stepping off. So I'm curious to see how this plays. I don't know if it's going to stick to the 7-point spread, but when I look at it, I think USA has been playing pretty well. I think they're well coached, and honestly, I see them taking down Western Michigan in this game. Trev, what do you think? You going South Alabama?
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah,
I really think that's just the way it's going to be. Transfer portal is going to kill a lot of the smaller bowl games.
Yeah,
because the best players of these teams are going to be moving to bigger programs. That's just the way it's going to be.
Again, it makes it hard to judge, and people say, "Hey, bowl games don't matter," whatever. I see the argument on why they're saying that, but it still does. You get the extra practice.
These players get a lot of cool swag from these bowl games.
I mean, that's shit too, but. You look at, the extra bowl practices, getting your younger guys in, seeing what needs you have for the transfer portal, who you need to really attack, and what you can go after. So, and obviously, it still matters on your win-loss record, no matter how badly you want to say it doesn't. Teams that got blown out last year. Listen, it does matter. All right, play your games, figure out what the hell you need to do, and go on to next year. We'll talk more. Like I said, we're going to have a Sunday reaction show. We'll talk about those 2 games. We'll talk about the Heisman Trophy because, again, it will be decided. So Sunday, the 15th of December, and then we're going to talk about the next slate of games because then we really start getting into the Memphis, West Virginia, Western Kentucky, James Madison, and so on down the line. So that's what it's looking for the next slate. That's all we really got tonight, Trev. You got anything else on these games? Kind of short show.
Not particularly. I promise that I'm going to catch up on all the recruits and the transfers and everything like that and try and put together a little bit of report for you guys. Probably not for this Sunday. It'll probably be next show after that.
Next Tuesday show.
Probably next Tuesday show. I'll try and do a recruit and transfer portal report on
sounds good
all that stuff,
because obviously, like I said, it's been busy with the transfer portal opening, signing day happening. It's called the conference championship games, a lot of stuff going on, family time with the holidays. So we'll get you guys up to speed as best as we can, And of course, comment on our stuff. Follow us on YouTube. If you want to comment, if you're listening on X, that helps us out a lot. Follow out on subscribe on YouTube, and then you can comment on there, and we can actually talk.
Follow us, and if you want, just share it everywhere. Just blast it everywhere, boys and girls. Just blast it everywhere.
Yeah, we appreciate the
Our
hell
goal
out of
is
you guys.
to grow substantially in 2025. So any help from you, the listeners, we do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And the off seasons, you make a lot of money that way. And last year we did, our season previews. That'll be on the docket as well after all the bowl games are said and done. So we do appreciate you guys. We hope you hang around and follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you on Sunday night. Y'all take care.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching.